So our topic class would be accounting for foreign currency transactions. So the scenario is very simple, class. We are working for a company that has transactions that are denominated in foreign currencies. And the most common example that will be given here in the problems class would be transactions involving imports and exports. Okay, so I would always tell the students, if you're working for a company that does not have any foreign currencies or foreign currency transactions, whatever we'll be discussing now will not have any use for you. This will only be useful if you are working for a company that has foreign currency transactions. Okay, now it's also important that you understand, class, that the topics or the concepts that will be discussed here will apply if the transactions are denominated in foreign currencies. What do I mean? You buy something outside of the country, class. You buy something from another country, but the price set for the item you have purchased is in pesos, class. Then the topics or the concepts that will be discussed here will not be applicable because everything is denominated in peso. So when will the concepts discussed now become relevant, class? If the transaction is denominated in a currency other than your reporting currency. And our reporting currency here would be our Philippine peso. So it does not mean you're buying something outside of the country. It will automatically require the use of your accounting for foreign currency transactions. The transaction must be denominated in a foreign currency for our discussion today to be relevant. You purchase something from another country, if it is payable in a foreign currency, then that will be covered by our discussion today. Okay, it does not automatically mean that you're buying something from outside the country or you're selling something to another country that we will be accounting for them as a foreign currency transaction. Okay, the keyword here, class, is denomination, class. The transaction must be denominated in foreign currency. The price that you will have to pay or the price that you will be collecting must be in a foreign currency for our discussion today to be applicable. Okay, and it's important for us to be familiar with the terminologies that you will encounter in the problems class. And number one would be your spot rate, class. Basically, your spot rate represents the current exchange rate. Okay, this is the rate in which you can exchange a foreign currency into our reporting currency or in our Philippine peso and vice versa, class. It is the current exchange rate. Okay, so if you exchange it today, that is the rate that you would be getting. That is the rate that will be used. So the simplest way to understand your spot rate would be it is the current exchange rate. So in our table, class, using the spot rates given in the problem class, if you convert one foreign currency on November 1, class, how much will you get? So by using the spot rate on November 1, you would only be getting 44 centavos, class. If you exchange one foreign currency on November 1, you would only be getting 44 centavos. If you are exchanging one foreign currency on January 31, how much will you be getting in return? You will only be getting the spot rate on that date. So you will look at the spot rate on January 31, and that is 45. So if you exchange one foreign currency on January 31, you would only get 45 centavos. If you exchange 1,000 foreign currencies on December 31, how much will you get? 1,000 foreign currencies on December 31. Then you would get 460. How did we get 460? The 1,000 foreign currencies multiplied by our spot rate on November 30 of 4.46. Okay, now, it's important, class, that if the transaction involves lang importation and exportation transaction, class, the only rate that we will be concerned of would be the spot rate, class. Okay? If the transaction simply involves importation and exportation, we will only be using spot rate. Always use the spot rate for your importation and exportation transaction. Ignore all forward rates that will be given. Use we will only use the forward rate class if there will be forward contracts. Okay, but if the transaction is very simple, importation and exportation denominated in foreign currencies, use only the spot rate. That's very important, class. Okay, if you will not study this topic, you're presented with a problem giving you spot rates and forward rates, you'll get confused. What rate am I going to use? What will be the use of these forward rates? And again, those questions could easily be answered if you simply remember our rule. If it is simply an importation or an exportation transaction, you will only be using the spot rate. But the problem gave me forward rates, sir. Does not matter. Those are to be ignored. Those are irrelevant. Is that clear, class? Only use the spot rate if it is only an importation and exportation transaction. Will there be problems wherein it will only involve importation and exportation problems? Yes. Okay? But majority of the problems, class, will involve, aside from an importation, exportation, it will also involve a forward contract. Okay, and that is when you will have to use the forward rates, class. But again, if it is simply an importation or exportation transaction, use only the spot rate, class. Okay? If you go beyond that, then you are only making it needlessly difficult for you, class. Okay? So, in this topic, class, the questions will be from two perspectives, class. Sometimes it will be from the point of view of the exporter. Sometimes it will be from the point of view of the importer. And it's important for you to understand what is your concern accounting-wise if you are the importer and you are the exporter. If you are the importer, what are you, man? You are the buyer. So what will you be recording from the importation? You will be recording your purchases and your accounts payable. So those would be your concern. The amount of purchases and accounts payable. If you are the exporter, what does that mean? Who are you in the transaction? You are the seller. And what will you be recording? You will be recording your sales and your accounts receivable. Okay? Is it possible for an entity to be both an importer and exporter at the same time but for different transactions? Yes. Okay? So it's possible for you, for one problem, class, to give you importation transactions and exportation transactions at the same time. Import for your inventory, export for your sales. Okay? Now, in most problems that we will encounter, class, the sales or the purchases will be on credit. And what would be the consequence, class? If it is on credit, what does that mean? It is not paid on cash. And what would be the consequence if it is not paid on cash? We will have to record your accounts receivable and accounts payable. And so what does that mean? If it is not paid in cash, the date of payment, class, and the date of delivery will not fall on the same dates. Which one will come first? It will be the date of delivery followed by the date of payment. And because these two incidents will not happen on the same date, then there will be issues on accounting-wise. Okay? If everything was paid in cash, then it would have made everything a lot simpler. Okay? But again, because the date of delivery and the date of payment do not fall on the same date, then it will have an impact on our entries, class. And the bigger issue here, which would be highlighted in most problems, class, is a scenario wherein in between the date of delivery and the date of payment, class, is the end of the reporting period, class, is the end of the year. So what do I mean? The transaction happened in December, class, December 1. It is to be paid on January 31. So normally, when will we prepare an entry? We will prepare an entry the date of delivery, let's say December 1. And when else? We'll also prepare an entry when we make the payment or we receive the payment on January 31. But if it happens that the date of payment class or the date of collection goes beyond the end of the reporting period, we will have to prepare another set of entries. We will have to prepare adjusting entries on the reporting date. Okay? And that's why I want to highlight, class, 3 important dates that you will have to take note of as you answer these problems. The first one, obviously, is the date of delivery. The second is the reporting date, which would basically be your balance sheet date. And the third, class, would be your settlement date or date of payment or the date of collection. Do you follow? These 3 dates are important, class, because in these dates, we will have to prepare entries. The date of delivery, okay, this is the date that goods are received by the buyer. There will now be transfer of ownership. And this is the date the purchases or the sales together with the accounts receivable and accounts payable will be recorded. So what will be recorded in the date of delivery, class? Sales and accounts receivable and purchases and accounts payable, class. Okay? And then again, the reporting date obviously is your balance sheet date. And the reason we will prepare an entry here is that we will need to adjust the balance of your accounts payable and your accounts receivable, class. Settlement date, I will use settlement date, class, to refer to either the date of payment or date of collection. When we say date of payment, meaning we are the buyer. When I say date of collection, that means we are the seller. To refer to both dates, class, we will just call them as the settlement date. Okay? Now, the date of delivery, class, again, the purchases or the sales and the accounts receivable or the payable will be recorded. Question now is, again, the transaction is denominated in foreign currency. Okay, let's say dollars, class. You buy something for $10,000. Are you going to record debit purchases and credit accounts payable for $10,000? The answer is no, because if you do that, your ledger will not make sense. Because everything else is in pesos, then you have a posting there that is in another currency. You cannot simply add 10,000 pesos with $10,000, class, because they are not equivalent. Do you follow? So aside from knowing that you will have to prepare an entry in the date of delivery, class, the next question you will have to ask is, at what amount should it be recorded? Of course, it will be in peso. And the next question you have to ask is, what rate am I going to use to convert this price that is denominated in foreign currency? And again, what are we recording in the date of delivery, class? Purchases or sales and accounts payable or receivable. And these are to be recorded, to be recognized to account for what kind of transaction, importation or exportation. And what did we say? If it is simply an importation or exportation transaction, what do we do? What rate are we going to use? Spot rate. So what then am I telling you now? On the date of delivery, you will record the purchases and the accounts payable, or you will record the sales and the accounts receivable using the spot rate. But again, what will happen in the problem? You will be given a lot of spot rates. Okay, you will be given a lot of spot rates. So you already know that you will have to use the spot rate. The next question is, what spot rate are you going to use? You will use the spot rate on that date. And what date is this? The date of delivery, class. Okay, so to initially record the sales or the purchases and the accounts payable or the receivable, you should know that you will be using the spot rate because this is simply an importation or exportation transaction. But again, even though it's understandable, class, if you're recording it now and you're supposed to use the spot rate, you should use the spot rate now. Okay? But again, it's possible the problem will give you multiple spot rates because we have the benefit of hindsight, class. Normally, you will only know the spot rate today and the spot rate in the previous periods. Okay? You will not have any idea on the future spot rates. But what will happen in the problem? Every spot rate that will be relevant will already be given to you. So you will end up having to choose. But again, it should not be difficult. If you're recording the importation or exportation transaction, use the spot rate on that date. And what date? The date of delivery. Okay. The theories here just are, or concepts are very important before we proceed to actual computation class. Once we have discussed the concepts, the problems will be very easy class because it's just a matter of choosing class. It's just a matter of choosing. Okay, what we are trying to accomplish now is for you to have foundation for you to be able to correctly choose what rates to use. Okay, so you will be asked on the date of delivery, at what amount will your accounts receivable or your accounts payable be recorded. But of course, class, the most common question in this topic class would be, how much is the forex gain or loss class? You will always be asked, how much is the forex gain or loss? Class, forex stands for what class? Foreign exchange. Okay. So the most common question here is, how much will be the forex gain or loss? Now, for forex gains or losses class from importation or exportation transaction class, the forex gain or loss will arise from the changes in your spot rates class. So if you will be asked, just like in the first question, how much would be reported as forex gain or loss from the exportation? If the question lang is for the forex gain or loss from the exportation, then you know that you will only be focusing on what rate class? Spot rates. So when will you have a forex gain or loss? If the spot rate changed. If the spot rate fluctuated class. Okay? So forex gains, again, forex gains or losses on importation and exportation will arise from changes in the spot rates. Again, if the question lang focuses on importation and exportation, the only rate that will be relevant would be your spot rate class. Okay, so but what would you be focusing on, class? If we're dealing with the forex gain or loss for your importation or exportation, what will you be focusing on? We already know that we will be using the spot rate. To what account are we going to apply your spot rate, class? You will apply it to your accounts payable for your importation and to your accounts receivable for your exportation. So what do I mean? It is the accounts payable or the accounts receivable that will fluctuate, not your purchases or your sales. Do you follow, class? You will have forex gain or loss because of the fluctuation in the spot rates that will be applied to your accounts payable and your accounts receivable, not to your purchases or to your sales. Okay? So it is the accounts payable and the accounts receivable that will be adjusted to reflect the current spot rates class. And if the balance of your accounts payable and accounts receivable will change because of the change in the spot rates, then the change will be the source of your forex gain or loss. Okay, so it's important for you to remember that your accounts receivable and accounts payable will have to be restated and or adjusted class to reflect the spot rate. Now the next question is, when do we make the adjustments? When do we make the adjustments, class? Theoretically, you adjust it every time there is a change in your spot rate. Do you follow? And when will your spot rate change? It can change every day. The spot rate can change every day. So theoretically, you will have to adjust the balance of your accounts receivable and accounts payable every day. But is that practical? The answer is no. Okay, let's say, for example, we are on December 29 class. The spot rate on December 29 is 0.45. Then on December 30, it's 0.46. So is there a change in the spot rate? Yes. Should you adjust your accounts payable or receivable? Yes. And because of the 0.01 change, you will have a forex gain or loss. Next, on on December 31, it went back to 0.45. Okay? Was there a change? Yes. From December 30, it's 0.46. On December 31, it went back to 0.45. Is there a change? Yes. Do you need to adjust your accounts payable and receivable? The answer is yes. Okay, you have already adjusted it on December 30. So you will have a loss of 0.01. You will have a gain of 0.01 on December 31. But what's the net effect? It will just be 0 because from December 30 to December 31, it just went back to 45. So it's not practical to do it every day. So what do we normally do? Again, theoretically, you have to adjust it every time the spot rate changes. But again, it's not practical. So what do we normally do? We adjust it, class. We adjust the balance of your accounts payable or receivable on the adjustment dates. Class, the adjustment date is just our terminology. Okay? When we say adjustment date, I'm referring to the dates in which you will need to update the balance of your accounts payable and your accounts receivable. And when is this adjustment date? When I say adjustment date, what are these dates? What can these dates be? This will either be the, can you remember the three important dates I have mentioned, class? What's the first important date? Date of delivery. What's the second one? Reporting date. And the third one is settlement date. So the first entry will be prepared on date of delivery. The two other dates, class, will be referred by us as the adjustment date. Why are we calling this date as adjustment dates? Because on these dates, we will have to adjust the balances of our receivable or payable to reflect the current spot rates. To some degree, class, it's redundant to call it current spot rate, class. If we're saying spot rate, it's the current exchange rate. Okay, so I will just use spot rate. Okay, so even if there is no movement, class, in money or in goods on the reporting date, you will still have to prepare an adjusting entry. And then in the settlement date, before recording the payment, you will have to update the balance of the payable or the receivable. Okay, so again, for the purposes of our discussion, we will refer to the reporting date, which will normally be the year end, and the settlement date as adjustment dates. On these dates, adjustments must be needed to reflect the current spot rates. Again, class, the purchases and the sales will not change. So that means the purchases and sales amount will remain at the rate at the spot rate on the date of delivery, on the date wherein there is already a transfer of ownership. Let's apply everything we've discussed to number 1. What happened to number 1? On November 1, 2016, goods were sold at the price of 100,000 FCU. Payments are to be collected on January 31, 2017. How much would be reported in 2016 as forex gain or loss from the exportation? Before answering the question, let's focus on November 1. Will an entry be prepared on November 1, class? Yes. By the way, how are we going to call November 1? This is our date of delivery. Okay. So what will be recorded? What will be recorded on November 1? Who are we in this transaction? Are we the buyer or the seller? Seller. So what accounts will be recognized on the date of delivery? Sales and accounts receivable. So we will debit what? What account will be debited to record a sale transaction? Accounts receivable and credit sales. Plus, it's a cardinal sin at this point, for you not to know that in a sale transaction, accounts receivable will be debited and sales will be credited. The question now is, are we going to record it at 100,000? No, because the 100,000 is denominated in foreign currency. So what do we do? What do we do, class? Restate it at or convert it into our reporting currency. Okay, so what do you do? Convert it using the exchange rate. So the important question now, which should not be difficult for us, is what rate are we going to use? Forward rate or spot rate? Spot rate, again, for the forward rates will not be relevant unless you have forward rates. Forward contracts. So what spot rate are we going to use? Sorry, what rate are we going to use? We'll use spot rate. But you look at the table, how many spot rates there are given? 5. Now, which spot rate should we be using? It should not be difficult for you to figure out, class, that the spot rate that you will be using would be the spot rate on November 1. Okay, when you were preparing the entry on November 1, class, do you already know the spot rate on December 1? No. Do you already know the spot rates on December 31, January 31, February 28? No. You use the spot rate on the date of the transaction, the date of delivery, which is 0.44. So if converted into our local currency, how much would be the value of this transaction? 100,000 times 0.44, and that will be 44,000. So what would be your complete entry on November 1? Debit, accounts receivable, and credit sales in the amount of 44,000. Okay, but again, what's the question, man? Gain or loss during the year? When was the payment collected by us since we are the seller? It was on January 31. So from November 1 to January 31, nothing happened. But are we going to be preparing an entry somewhere in between? The answer is yes, because when else are we going to prepare an entry? Aside from the date of delivery, when else? The reporting date and the settlement date. And what entries are we going to be preparing here? Adjusting entries to update the balance of your accounts payable or your accounts receivable. In this case, what account are we going to be adjusting? Accounts receivable. So even though the next event is on January 31, we will prepare an entry. And when is that entry, class? It will be on when, class? Reporting date. When's the reporting date? December 31. What's our objective on December 31? To adjust the accounts. What account do we have here? Payable or receivable? To adjust the accounts receivable to reflect the spot rate on that date. Okay? Because before any entry, how much was the balance of our accounts receivable? It was 44,000 using the spot rate on November 1. But since the spot rate changed on December 31, the balance should not be 44,000 anymore. How much should be the balance, class? How do you get the new balance of the accounts receivable? Convert it again. But what rate are you going to use? Forward or spot rate? What spot rate are you going to be using? The spot rate on December 31. And how much is the spot rate on December 31? 0.47. So, because, class, what will actually happen? Are we going to be receiving pesos here? No, we are be receiving 100,000 foreign currencies. So, by the time we'll be paid in January 31, we will not receive pesos. We will receive 100,000 foreign currencies. So, that's why you'll have to regularly update or adjust the balance of this amount. Okay? Because in reality, your receivable is not 44,000 pesos. Your receivable is 100,000 foreign currencies. But when you report it in your financial statements, the value of your 100,000 foreign currencies is no longer 44,000. It is now how much? How much is the value of your 100,000 foreign currencies on December 31? 47,000. And how did you get that one? 100,000 times 4.47. That will give you 47,000. So, what do? Are you going to credit accounts? Sorry, are you going to debit accounts receivable 47,000? No. Okay, it will result in duplication. How much was the previous balance of your accounts receivable? 44. How much should it be? Should its balance be on December 31? 47. So what do you need to do? Increase it lang by 3,000. So your entry on December 31 should be a debit to accounts receivable, but not for 47 because you already have an existing balance of 44. It should only be a debit for how much? 3,000. The question now is, will you be crediting sales again for 3,000, similar to your entry November 1? No, because as what we mentioned, we will not adjust your sales. So what then would be the credit? It will now be a gain, class. There's an increase in your asset without any corresponding change in your assets, other assets and liabilities. So that should be reported as a gain or an income. So your entry would be debit, accounts receivable 3,000, and credit, forex, what? Forex what? Gain of 3,000. Okay, and that's it. But of course, class, you will have to understand that just because the balance increases doesn't mean it will be a gain. In this case, it's a gain because what increased, man? It's a receivable. On the opposite end, class, if you are the importer, if you are the buyer, if your accounts payable increases, will that be, if your liability increases, will that be a gain on your part, class? No, it will be a loss. But that should not be difficult to figure out, class, kay the balancing figure there would be on the debit side. And of course, a loss has a normal debit balance. Alternative solution for 3,000, class. Alternative solution for 3,000. You get the difference between 44 and 47. You will get 0.03. Multiply that with 100,000. You would get 3,000. Do you follow? But for me, I want you to get the adjusted balance, class. You get the 44, the converted balance. You get the 44 first, then you get the 47 so that you can visualize the amounts. What happened? From 44, it increased to 47. My receivable increased from 44 to 47. The amount that I will get increased. So it's very easy for you to understand that what happened there is a gain on your part. Do you follow? That's it. And what rates were we using here? Just the spot rate. And what was the challenge on our part in this problem, which really was not a challenge? Simply knowing that we will be using the November 1 spot rate on November 1, and we will be using the December 31 spot rate on December 31. Okay? Number 2, using the same information in the previous number, how much will be reported in 2017 as Forex gain or loss from the exportation. So what happened in 2017? There will be another adjustment date, class, correct? Okay, and what's the second adjustment date we've discussed earlier, class? It's the payment date. And when is the payment or the collection date? The settlement date. In this case, the settlement date is our collection date. When is the collection date? January 31. Okay. So again, recall that you will have to restate the accounts receivable on the restatement date. On the settlement date. That is why you will also have Forex gain or loss in 2017. So again, in number 2, you're asked how much is your Forex gain or loss in 2017. We will have a Forex gain or loss because we will be adjusting the balance of our AR on the settlement date. Okay, and here to get the Forex gain or loss, class, you will just have to compare the previous balance. That's always the case. Compare the previous balance and the balance on the adjustment date or the current balance. Going back to number 1, how much was the previous balance? It was 44. Compare it with the current balance. Since we are now on December 31, compare it with 47. This time, we are now on January 31. What is now the previous balance? The previous balance is not the November 1 balance. The previous balance would be the balance on December 31, which is the 47,000. And again, you will have to restate the balance on the settlement date of January 31. So since 47,000 is the balance of the AR at the start of the year, I say start of the year, class, because again, the ending balance last year will be the beginning balance this year. And it will be restated on January 31. The next question is, how much would be the restated or adjusted balance on January 31? How much are you going to receive on January 31? Are you going to be receiving pesos? No. What will you receive on January 31? You will receive 100,000 foreign currencies. But what is the value of this 100,000? How do you get the value of this 100,000 using our reporting currency? By using what rate? Forward or spot rate? Spot rate. Again, ignore forward rate unless there is a forward contract. Okay, the next question is, what spot rate are we going to be using? Since we are now on January 31, the spot rate that we'll be using would be the spot rate on January 31. And how much is the spot rate on January 31.45? So that means the equivalent value of the 100,000 foreign currency is how much, class? 45,000. So that means on the settlement date, the accounts receivable should be adjusted down to 45,000. And how much was its previous balance, class? 47. So we will bring it down to 45. And what do we do to bring down 47 to 45? Decrease it by 2,000. So what will be our entry? Do we debit or credit accounts receivable? Decrease AR. What do you do? Debit or credit? Credit. So you will have to credit accounts receivable. And what will be your debit? This time, loss, specifically a Forex loss. So our entry on January 31, the first entry in January 31 would be debit. Forex loss 2,000 and credit accounts receivable 2,000. Okay. Is that the question? Is that the answer? Okay, so our accounts receivable decreased by 2,000. So we will have a loss of 2,000. Here, question. Can a subsequent loss, class, be greater than the previously recognized gain? And vice versa? The answer is yes. Okay, you will not be checking on how much was the gain last year, how much was the loss last year. Forex gain or loss will be a current period gain or loss, class. It will be reported in your P&L. Okay, so do not think anymore how much was the gain last year, how much was the loss last year, how much was the previously recognized gain or loss. Okay, it's always current, class. Okay, ignore prior gains and losses. In computing for the current gain or loss, again, just compare the previous balance and the current adjusted balance, class. That's all you have to do. By the way, alternative way of solving the 2,000, class, get the difference between the spot rate on December 31, the previous rate, and the spot rate on the adjustment date, which is also the settlement date of 45. Difference of 0.02. So you will get 2,000. But again, I prefer you get the amount skill class, 45, 47, 45,000, 47. So it will be easily for you to visualize whether it's a gain or a loss, class. Okay. So here, another important takeaway, class. Forex gains and losses from importation and exportation, as what I have already mentioned, will be reported in your profit or loss. It will not be reported in your other comprehensive income. So if you will be asked how much will be reported as gain or loss in OCI, if you will be asked how much will be reported as Forex gain or loss in your OCI, and then the transaction is simply an importation or exportation transaction, what will be your answer? Do you need to solve, class? No, your answer will be 0 because you know that Forex gain or losses from importation and exportation transaction will be reported in your profit or loss and not in your other comprehensive income. Okay? If you can recall your past one, class, what are your items of other comprehensive income? You've been told to memorize the items of other comprehensive income. And one of the items of your other comprehensive income would be your Forex gain or losses from cash flow hedge, class, if you can recall. Okay? So Forex gain or loss from cash flow hedge will go to your OCI. All other Forex gain or loss, class, will go to your profit or loss. So what am I trying to warn you, class? I'm trying to warn you of a potential trick question. How much is the Forex gain or loss? But the transaction, how much is your Forex gain or loss to be reported in the OCI? But it is not a cash flow hedge. So the answer should be 0. Okay. Now just to summarize the rules, whether it's a gain or loss, class, it's very, at this point, you should be able to analyze this on your own. But if you want to have a summarized rule, increase in AR, class, increase in AR, gain or loss. If your accounts receivable increases, gain or loss? Gain. If, of course, inversely, if your accounts receivable decreases, it will be a loss. Next, increase in accounts payable. What will happen if your liability increases? Is it a gain or a loss? loss. And then what if your accounts payable what if your accounts payable increases? So what was the one I mentioned earlier? Accounts payable increase, and then it's a loss. Next, what if your accounts payable decreases? Obviously, it will be a gain. What were our takeaways for today, class? If it's a importation or exportation transaction, what rate will we be using? Spot rate. And what is our understanding of the spot rate? It is the current exchange rate. What are the three important dates that you will have to account for? Date of delivery, reporting date, which will be the balance sheet date, and then the settlement date, which will either be the date of payment or the date of collection. On the date of delivery, what accounts are we going to recognize? Sales and accounts receivable if we are the seller, and purchases and accounts payable if we are the buyer. What is our objective in the adjustment? By the way, what are the adjustment dates, class? The adjustment dates are your reporting date and your settlement date. What is our objective in the adjustment dates? To adjust what account? To adjust either the accounts payable or the accounts receivable for them to reflect the spot rate on those dates. We will talk about the